Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I like to say all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachakadosh. I want to give double honors to the apostles of GMS for teaching this truth, and peace and salutations for all the Akim out there kicking this word in truth and sincerity. Now, this is the second part to healing the brain. This is the food and diet component, and the food and diet that I undertook to help heal my brain. First, I want to add a couple of supplements I failed to mention in the last video, and I failed to mention them really because I didn't take a lot of them to experience radical change with them, but they're recommended, so I figured I'd throw them in there. First one is ginseng, and then we also have ginkgo biloba, and I did take a vitamin B12, which helped boost my energy. And I can't really attribute it to healing my brain, but definitely worth trying. Anyhow, the first food mention is avocados. Now, avocados have monosaturated fats in them, very good for increasing blood flow to the brain. They also have vitamins in them, vitamin K, vitamin B, vitamin C, and then folate, which is another type of vitamin B, and is good for preventing beta amyloid plaques, which are something that develops in the brain when you have Alzheimer's disease. So very good in getting that blood flowing to the brain and breaking up amyloid plaques. The next mention is beets. Beets have nitrates in them. That's nitrates, which convert to nitrites, nitrites, converts to nitrites when mixed with the saliva in the mouth. So if you buy beet juice, be sure to swish it around in the mouth to convert those to nitrites. If you do beets steamed or roasted, like I like to do, chew them thoroughly. Those nitrites help increase the blood flow to the brain as well. So steamed, roasted, beet juice, and there's another way to take in your beets called kvass, which is a fermented drink. Kvass is Kvass. Kvass is fermented beet juice, and basically what you do is you get a quart jar, one of those mason jars, chop up some beets and fill the jar up as much as you can with the chopped up beets, and then pour over a saltwater brine, so like some filtered water and a tablespoon of salt, and mix that in good, let it sit, and once that liquid in the jars turn really deep red and the drink smells somewhat fermented, it's good to go. And you can drink the juice, toss the beets, eat the beets, whatever. It's actually, I think it's an acquired taste, but I actually like the taste of kvass. Another mention is broccoli. Broccoli is high in vitamin K. It helps regulate calcium in the brain and the bones. It also has choline in it, which is good for brain development. I like my broccoli steamed or roasted for the most part. Don't really like it raw. Kind of gross raw. That's just me though. The next one, hands down, my favorite food while I was trying to heal the brain, which is blueberries. Blueberries are very high in antioxidants and also high in something called gallic acid. And gallic acid reverses brain damage due to lack of blood flow to the brain. Blueberries, like all berries, they're typically very high in pesticides, so it's recommended that you buy organic blueberries, or organic berries in general, and it can be a little bit more pricey than than the regular. Sometimes I would buy the regular. Sometimes I would buy the organic. Really depend on where my wallet was at the time. Frozen though, love frozen blueberries. I would eat a lot of frozen blueberries. Sometimes it would just be my meal. Um, and I would actually, it's really good is maybe you like this, maybe you won't. I would take the frozen blueberries and pour over coconut oil that's been sitting at room temperature and is in liquid form. And it would harden over the frozen blueberries, and then sometimes I'd throw in some flax seeds on top of that, or some chia seeds, and pretty good. I really liked it a lot. That hardened coconut oil over the frozen blueberries, one of my favorite snacks. Another mention is eggs. Eggs are also very high in choline, and they also have a folate in them, vitamin B6, and vitamin B12. Sometimes eggs are referred to as a brain food. They're so good for the brain. Now, I recommend buying the free range organic eggs if it's in your budget. If I buy eggs, it's typically those, or I don't buy eggs because there's such a world of difference between the free range organic eggs and the regular eggs. You buy them, check them out. You see difference in color, difference in taste. They're almost a different egg. So, bone broth, very good. It's actually really good for healing the gut. Now, the gut, there's something called what do they call it? A brain gut connection, something like that, where a lot of the foods that we eat can directly affect the brain, especially if you have something called leaky gut, where foods leak through the gut lining, and then the toxins from the food go all the way up into the brain. And I had a partner who had a problem with this, and she would, after eating certain foods, and especially wheat, gluten, and sugars, or foods that were high in pesticides or in toxins, it would go right to her brain, and it would get so bad to where sometimes she wouldn't even be able to speak. She would just have to go lay down. It was that bad. So now, bone broth, like I said, good for healing the gut. If you're doing the bone broth to heal the gut, you want to avoid taking in gluten and wheat and sugar because they're actually counterproductive to healing the gut. You actually want to do the higher fats and stay away from the carbs while doing the gut healing. The ketosis diet, very good for healing the gut in sections. You don't want to do the ketosis diet for long periods of time. Maybe it's not the ketosis, it's the paleo diet. That's it, Slovakia. It's the paleo diet that's very good for healing the gut. Very low carb diet. Look into that one if you feel like you need to heal the gut. Now, another one of my favorites, and the last mention on this list, is dark chocolate. I loved some dark chocolate. I don't do it as much anymore because I found it wasn't good for my gut in the quantities I ate it. Also, the sugar in dark chocolate, which is why it's recommended that you buy the more expensive chocolates. The chocolates that are 70% cacao or more, I recommend 80 to 90% if you can take that bitter of a chocolate, because it has less sugar in it. The sugar is actually counterproductive in a lot of ways. Sugar is not the best for the body. It's actually a toxin on the body in the processed form. Now, fruit sugars you get from the foods, it's different because they come with all the vitamins and fibers attached to them that help the body process them better. But processed sugars and processed foods, not the best. So it's recommended you get a high quality, low sugar chocolate. Now, chocolate helps improve the blood flow to the brain. It's got a lot of minerals in it: copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, potassium, zinc, phosphorus, selenium, and a lot of antioxidants. Very good food. So on this diet, Slovakia, I avoided sugars while healing the brain. I felt a direct connection to when I ate sugar and how it would affect my brain. It would get really cloudy headed. And I couldn't think clear, and it was within 5-10 minutes after eating the sugar, so I knew it was the sugar. Also, breads, gluten, wheat, all these things, they would really affect me when I was attempting to heal my brain. Sometimes I would be having like a really good clear day. That was the funny thing about this whole journey, was that some days I would be out of my head, like psychotic, and I would have to like take heavy doses of the lithium and fish oil. It was oftentimes it was because of the diet that I had. I would eat a lot of sugar or bread that day and just be out of my head. It was crazy how much these foods affected me. So I did a little bit of the ketosis diet. In parts, I would be like I'd be on a ketosis diet for a week. And a ketosis diet is when you are doing a zero, like pretty much zero carb diet, and eating a lot of the healthy fats, coconut oil, avocados, meats, and eggs. Part of that to get the body to switch over from processing glucose to processing ketones for energy, which is very good for healing a damaged brain. But I would only do those, like I said, a couple of weeks at a time, stop. Another thing I would do, I did a little bit of intermittent fasting. That helped. Drinking lots of water, lots and lots of clean, filtered water really helped. Minerals in the water. You can buy, I think I did a video about that. There's a video down there about water. You can check that out, about adding minerals to the water. I think I mentioned prayer, meditation. Very good. Exercising was really good while healing the brain. And just to walk. Walk alone would just make me feel a lot better. Being in the sun was very healing. I think that's really it. Let me get into a scripture here for us. All right, this is Psalms chapter 141. Lord, I cry unto thee, make haste unto me. Give ear unto my voice when I cry unto thee. Let my prayer be set forth before thee as incense, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the doors of my lips. Incline not my heart to do any evil thing, to practice wicked works with men that work iniquity, and let me not eat of their dainties. Now that was really speaking to what I was doing there, practicing wicked works with men, and I can't really go into the dainties there. Let's look at that word. What is that word? Dainties. Delicacies. So yeah, before all this, I was not eating the best either. Given into a lot of the lusty desires of like food, eating way too much carbs and sugars, and just kind of going off with that. Sugar's not good for the brain. That's what I learned on this whole journey. I got a story, but let me finish the scripture first. Let the righteous smite me, it shall be of kindness, and let him reprove me, it shall be an excellent oil, which shall not break my head, For yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities. When their judges are overthrown in stony places, they shall hear my words, for they are sweet. Our bones are scattered at the grave's mouth, as when one cutteth and cleaveth wood upon the earth. But mine eyes are unto thee, O Yahweh the Lord. In thee is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape. Now, if you watch the first video, I was talking about how I felt there was that this was partially a nano attack, partially spiritual attack. I can't really say for sure that I was nano. I can only give you the evidence that I presented. But if it was, then, and if it's as widespread as I think it is, this is probably something that this last verse is speaking to by letting them fall into their own nets. Because it is affecting a lot of people. The woman, the friend that told me about it, the last time I had spoke to her, she was like, man, she was gone. Like her brain was gone. Like I couldn't even hold a conversation with her. I felt like she was a robot or something, completely controlled. It was the strangest thing. And this is an Edomite woman who wasn't actually, looking back, not the best person. She was actually rather wicked. So her falling into snares, yeah, no sympathy there. Right, that story. I had stumbled across a video during this time on YouTube where they were talking about how they were going to, with this 5G technology and with these, these same people were these people were talking about the same nanotechnology getting into the brain. They're talking about the 5G, this nanotechnology getting in the brain, and then this nanotechnology being activated by sugar. They said that if there's a certain amount of sugar in the body, then the sugar would act as an antenna because it's a crystalline form, which according to that scientist, I don't know if any of you guys are into this, into science, but they said that the sugar, because of its crystalline form, would make a great antenna. Now, when I was consuming a lot of sugar, I felt like I was going psychotic. Like the thoughts, these random mad thoughts would increase in my brain, which correlated to what these people were saying. So, again, no facts there. I don't really have any evidence that this is the case, but I just know that when I was consuming a lot more processed sugar, that my brain would go off, and I would feel more psychotic, more schizophrenic than ever during this period of time. So, because of that, I avoid sugar as the best I can, especially the processed sugar. It's not really the fruit sugars, or let's say like raw honey. It's the processed sugar. It's like a crystalline form that's actually a poison. Not only is it a poison to the body, but it's also very addicting to the body. So I highly recommend, even if you're not having these psychological problems, kick processed sugar, because there's something it's something potentially wicked about this sugar, according to that story. And like I said, I can't prove this story true or false. It's just from my experience, sugar messed me up, and it really correlated to what they were saying. So that's all I got for now. Hope this is edifying, and Shalom Israel.